Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chair League action. We have two games for you this evening. Game number one is Division 1. It will be the 0-1 Powerpuff Boys versus 2-3 Murky Disco. Murky Disco has decided that this game will be played on Braxis Holdout. So that's where we will go. It is not a best of three. It is only a single game to decide the winner of this matchup. And being a Division 1 game, you would assume we'll have some pretty high quality play here. Most of these Division 1 teams are very solid. The first team I played on in Chair League for 2 seasons was Division 1, and the competition was very stiff. So expect nothing different here from these two teams here this evening. We do have a second game coming your way after this one. That will be a Division 3 game between Brightwing Duck and the Self-References. But first, of course, we have to decide the winner of this game here today. So it looks like one of our participants is having some lag issues. Hopefully those won't be a problem because we do have the game scheduled back to back like this. I don't particularly like the delays.
Braxis Holdout.
Boy, I've never seen that particular bug before. I was in the middle of joining the lobby for the next game, and we have the little, there it goes. Finally went away there. So we are now officially in draft. Powerpuff Boys are on the clock for their first ban. On Braxis Holdout, due to the nature of the objective, any heroes that can stand on a point and hold it for a long period of time are valuable, as are heroes with fast, efficient wave clear, like Gul'dan, who's one of the very best at that particular feature. He does just a ton of damage, and he clears lanes very, very quickly. So Powerpuff Boys opting to take Gul'dan out of the picture, and if they did not want to take him themselves, that is an excellent ban. Murky Disco quickly responding with a Ragnaros ban. His Molten Core is really solid at, of course, defending any kind of objectives that push onto structures, which the Zerg waves on Braxis Holdout certainly do. Powerpuff Boys respond with a first pick Sylvanas. Sylvanas is, in my opinion, a kind of a win more hero. So if you can get that early lead, especially if you secure that first Zerg wave, she can really magnify the pushing destructive power of that Zerg wave. And she can do that on any of the maps that have a pushing objective. Infernal Shrines with the Punishers, Battlefield of Eternity with the Immortals, etc., etc. Murky Disco now on the clock. They have 2 selections to make here. This map also accentuates the solo laner more than probably any other in the game. So I would imagine by the end of this draft, both teams will have a hero that they have in mind to send to that top lane. Usually you have 1 solo laner top and a 4-man on the bottom. Murky Disco responding with the dynamic duo of Tassadar and Vala. Those heroes go together so well. Vala, one of the top assassins right now, and her weakness of being on the squishy side is really negated when she has Tassadar as her personal shield generator. On Braxis Holdout in particular, Tassadar has really nice wave clear and vision as well, so he contributes to the team in ways other than just allowing Vala to go ham. So I really like that duo pickup there for Murky Disco. Powerpuff Boys now with a chance to respond. two choices that they need to make. I don't like, personally, saving my tank and support to the end of the draft, so I would like to see Powerpuff Boys pick at least one of those roles in this rotation here, either a tank or a support, and allow themselves some flexibility in the draft, and they decide to go with both, picking a dynamic duo of their own, an ETC and Malfurion. Those two go together like peanut butter and jelly. The lawn that Malfurion lays down is just such a great follow-up for ETC's Power Slide and Face Melt. ETC can also go Stage Dive on this map. It kind of gives him a global ability that he doesn't normally have, and allows him to quickly respond to the other shrine if he's needed there, or simply rotate up there to capture it. Or if he simply decides to go Mosh Pit, if there's not enough interrupts on the side of Murky Disco, Mosh Pit can, of course, almost single-handedly win a game. But generally on Braxis Holdout, I find most ETC players tend to lean towards Stage Dive, unless their opposing comp is just screaming for a Mosh Pit. So Murky Disco, we will see their ban here any second now. And they opt to ban Dahaka. That's a good ban. I like to run ETC Dahaka a lot. Dahaka has great wave clear. The ability to quickly rotate between the shrines is certainly valuable on Braxis Holdout. And Dahaka is a very capable solo laner, so that helps isolate out that solo lane potential from Powerpuff Boys, who then respond by getting Morales out of the hands of Murky Disco. Morales is prioritized sometimes on Braxis Holdout, because if she holds her beam on somebody and stays in a safe place, she can pretty much prop up defense of that point almost single-handedly. Stim Drone works great with Vala, or the Medivac gives the whole team mobility to do any number of things, rotating onto Merc camps, the boss, simply dropping onto the other lane. So a nice ban coming out from Powerpuff Boys. Murky Disco on the clock. I don't think you're going to see a solo support Tassadar, so I think we're going to see their tank here and a support, or maybe a solo laner. They still need that as well. I mean, you can use Tassadar for the solo laner. I don't want them to do that, though, because you pick Tassadar to pair up with Vala, so if he's up in the solo lane, he's not getting his value there. So there's the second support. There's the primary tank in Muradin, and I imagine their last pick will be some kind of solo laner, a Thrall. You do see Rexar on Braxis Holdout far more commonly than you do other battlefields. You could even see, if you wanted to go really crazy, even a Gazlo if you wanted, Sonya as well. All solid choices to function in that solo lane, and that's what I imagine Murky Disco will select to round out their comp. Powerpuff Boys now have two selections to make. They still need to pick their solo laner. We're going to see that here. And then some kind of primary damage dealer. Range Assassin Kael'thas works particularly well on Braxis Holdout, as does Jaina, especially when paired with an ETC Malfurion. Those three are a nice combo. So they do go the ranged damage dealer in Chromie, which is a little bit surprising, and the solo laner in Sonya. Chromie is going to be an interesting pick. We'll see how that plays out. She does sometimes struggle in the wave clear department unless you go Mobius Loop. However, the Slowing Sands, if she opts to go that, is such a great zoning tool. Oh no, we have lost one of our heroes, and it was, of course, the hero that was complaining of lag issues. So we do not have to redo this whole draft simply because Murky Disco was the only team left that needed to make a selection. So while we iron out our technical difficulties here, While we iron out our technical difficulties, wait for Arya to get back in here. So Murky Disco has one selection left to make. I imagine it's going to be their solo laner, like I mentioned. And this will be a very interesting game. Braxis Holdout has become one of my favorite maps. It's slightly tough as a caster because you have simultaneous things going on. So we'll try to pop in on... Usually you're going to watch the bottom lane where there's the 4-on-4 scrim, but we'll try to pop on up to that top lane to see how those solo laners are doing in their one-on-one duel with each other. So it looks like we hopefully have Arya joining us here momentarily. She is in the Nexus, and hopefully they get in here, and then we can get this show on the road. Well, we're trying to restart the lobby because we are still having our technical difficulties. I really hope this doesn't run too much longer because I hate making the next team wait. So I hope this gets going here pretty soon. In the meantime, so Braxis Holdout has, of course, 2 lanes, and the objective is to channel 2 points simultaneously. And the longer you hold those 2 points at the same time, will slowly build up a Zerg wave to rush the enemy's structures. And when one side reaches a 100 strength Zerg push, both Zerg rushes will be released. It also has a boss directly in the middle of the map, which hits like a Mack truck. It just does a ton of damage. And one of the things that's interesting about this map is even though it's fairly small and only has 2 lanes, it actually takes a little bit to rotate between the 2 lanes just because of the layout of the terrain. You kind of have to go around one way or the other. So you cannot rotate between the 2 lanes as fast as you would think you would, considering the size of the map. It takes a little longer than it looks like it should. Alright, so it looks like everybody is here, and we will get into the game here in just a minute. If I knew some good jokes, I would vamp for you guys to fill in the time here, but I don't. So we're going to... Alright, now we are selecting teams, and it looks like they're going to go Lunara for their last pick. That's the only one I see that wasn't in the draft. We're going to find that out. Find that out in a minute. Oh, 10 out of 10. So it looks like a Lunara was picked up last by Murky Disco. So a little squish with Avala, Lucio, and Lunara, but that is a lot of damage as well. However, I don't think if they stay with the Lunara here, I don't think they have a solo laner that will be able to compete with Sonya in the top lane unless they send Tassadar up there. And if they send Tassadar up there, then of course is not paired with the Vala, which is kind of why I expected they drafted the 2 of them together. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams decide to do this. And we have officially started the game. and are in the loading screen. So looking at these teams' history, it looks like, at least in their current incarnation, Powerpuff Boys, this is only their second Chair League game, and Murky Disco, their sixth, both first season here in Chair League, and both looking to even their record out. Powerpuff Boys would increase to 1-1 with a victory, while Murky Disco maybe be able to backdoor the playoffs, increasing their record to 3-3. I think, like Powerpuff Boys draft a little bit more simply because I think they have the advantage in the solo lane department. I don't care for Chromie on this map, but we will see. And I am very interested to see what Murky Disco does for their split of their team between lanes here, because other than Tassadar, they don't have an obvious solo laner. Almost great mount synergy here from Powerpuff Boys, but Su Y did not get the memo. In the blue, for the Powerpuff Boys, we have Ame no Kenshi on Malfurion, Swallow on ETC, Wave Arts on Chromie, Su Y on Sylvanas, and in the top lane, all by her lonesome, is Tatsuya on Sonya.
3, 2, 1.
For the red team, Murky Disco, we have Battle Pope on Muradin, Boop Doop on Lunara, Houdini on Vala, The Process on Tassadar, and Arya on Lunara. I'm sorry, on Lucio. Arya on Lucio. So it looks like Murky Disco kind of wants to see what Powerpuff Boys is doing. They're staying in the middle to respond to the Sylve Cheese. They do push a tower with Sylve, get about half before being forced to withdraw here. So it is Tassadar in the top lane versus Sonya, and that's not surprising, as really Tassadar is the only one who would be able to fight Sonya in the top lane. Lunara caught a little far forward with a power slide and a face melt. However, she Bambi's her out. Nice root! And the Chromie spells almost deletes Lunara, but there will be no First Blood quite yet. Once again, Vala far forward again, and she is so low. Chromie is doing damage. I think Lunara and Vala are both going to have to hurf back here, leaving Muradin and Lucio to do what they can. This bottom lane is really getting pushed in. You can see those red health bars are just so low they cannot stand the barrage of Chromie, and her team is doing such a great job of setting up her shots for her between the power slide and the roots of Malfurion. Another underrated aspect of Braxis Holdout is if you can control those regen generators, the globe generators, it gives your team simply more sustain than the other team had by controlling those. Sylvanas a little far forward, a nice healing root by Malfurion there. Let's go ahead and check in this top lane. So it looks like Sonya has been slightly winning this. Tassadar had to tap though, otherwise it's been a kind of a even money down there. The one thing I will say, in wave clear, even though Tassadar can't keep up with Sonya, I don't think Tassadar will be able to force Sonya off the point by herself. I did question the Chromie pick, but so far Wave Arts has really been spot on with his skill shots, and just the poke damage is so much for them to deal with. And we do have Powerpuff Boys controlling both points here. Murky Disco trying to invade. However, Vala is low, Lunara is low, even Muradin a little bit low, and Lucio's trickle heal at this point in the game just has not been able to keep up with the damage output from Powerpuff Boys, and Muradin is the first to go down, and they secure the 100-0 Zerg wave in favor of the Powerpuff Boys, and very smartly, they send Sylvanas straight up to this top lane. If they can get a lot of mileage out of Sylv with the Merc push, you can get a big lead here. Sylvanas is so strong with this push, and she can really take a lead here to help her team. So Sonya rotated to the bottom. She will continue to get the split soak. A nice job by Deep Dupe to try to push Sylvanas back. But once again, that Chromie poke damage just forces the damage dealers back to where this wave is getting a lot of value. The wave is not even half dead yet, and this fort certainly going to fall. Vala out a little far forward by herself. Lucio caught in the stun from ETC. Power sliding away. He is running for his life, as is Lunara. And still, this wave at about half health will be pushing on to the keep wall. Powerpuff Boys now with a full level lead advantage, only 4 minutes into the game. Lucio taken out on the backside. Lunara has to back up too. She had so little life. Lunara in particular, this game has just taken so much poke damage, she hasn't been able to stay forward to do the damage that she needs to do. The Zerg wave on the verge of going down, but they just don't have the wave clear, and they can't keep up with the poke damage. Finally, Powerpuff Boys will take their foot off the gas. They opt to take the advantage they gain. And in the first wave, they have taken out one fort, one keep wall, and in the bottom, left to her own devices, Sonya has taken out the bottom fort wall as well. Lost in that big wave push was the fact that Murky Disco was being pushed so hard by Sylvanas, they were not able to even leave anybody in the lane to soak. So that is a lot of XP lost, and about a 1.5 level advantage. Powerpuff Boys opting to try to snowball this into a strong advantage, and with the talent tier advantage, they are invading, and they are invading hard, taking all of the Merc camps from Murky Disco. We do have a drop, and she's back, so it looks like we won't have any kind of pause there. I really like the shot calling from Powerpuff there. They've been controlling this game. They, with the talent tier advantage at the time, just took their 5 and pushed into the Merc camps. Hey, Hero, welcome to the game here, my friend. So Powerpuff Boys in complete control, although ETC a little far forward. There are 4 members here. If they can lock him down, they might be able to blow him up. However, Swallow does dodge the stun from Muradin and is able to juke away until his reinforcements get here. Vala caught. She's able to vault away from the lawn and run away from the rest of the CC. There's the slowing sands from Chromie. It's such a powerful zoning tool. And just look at the health bars on the side of Murky Disco. They cannot keep up with the damage, and it's only being accentuated there. Once again, Chromie gets the snipe on Lunara, and they finish off. Vala was trying to put pressure on Chromie, which is not a bad idea. However, Su-Y on Sylv came down there, reinforced her ally, and they're able to take out both Vala and Lunara and pick up their level 10s. We have Wailing Arrow from Sylvanas, Slowing Sands from Chromie, Wrath of the Berserker from Sonya, Twilight Dream on Malfurion, and I believe that is Stage Dive. Nope, I lied. Mosh Pit on ETC. So Murky Disco has absolutely no way to contest any of this. They have Mercs pushing down the lanes. They don't have their level 10s yet. They are going to lose this wave 100-0 for a second time. And they will have Sylv pushing with a 100-0 Zerg wave and a boss. This is absolutely a disaster right now for Murky Disco. If things go really right here, Powerpuff Boys, as early as it is, could posture for a win here. You have to figure with both the boss and the wave and Sylv all pushing down this bottom lane, Murky Disco not having their heroics quite yet, this keep is going to go down, no doubt about it. The only question is how much of this push power will be left after this keep goes down. And will it be enough for them to consider a core call? There goes Sonya pushing on the back line. The damage coming out from Powerpuff Boys combined with the level difference, Murky Disco just cannot stay in these battles. They are taking too much damage. 3 levels down without their heroics. I think this is going to be game. I just don't think Murky Disco can get in there to do anything. Twilight Dream hits 2, Mosh Pit hits 3. There goes Tassadar, core at 10%, and down it goes. A dominant performance from the Powerpuff Boys, claiming victory in 8 minutes and 38 seconds. That is the power of Sylvanas, the win more hero if there ever is one. If you get those objectives, those early objectives with Sylvanas, and get that lead, you can absolutely roll that to an early victory. Of course, she's not nearly as powerful if you don't get those objectives, but Powerpuff Boys definitely did. They got both of the objectives and the boss, a big-time early lead. And Chromie was really on the spot with her damage, landing all of the skill shots that she needed, and Murky Disco could just never stay in a sustained team fight. With Powerpuff Boys, their health bars just seemed like they were low the entire game. They could never get a solid engagement, and unfortunately, they will fall to 2 wins and 4 losses on the season. Powerpuff Boys picking up their first win of their Season 4 campaign in style with a win in 8 minutes and 38 seconds, riding Sylvanas, Chromie, Malf, etc., and Sonya to a convincing victory. So congratulations to Powerpuff Boys on a fantastic win. Our second game today will be a Division 3 matchup, 1-4 Brightwing Duck versus 1-4 the Self-References. Division 3 I enjoy casting a lot actually because you kind of don't really know what you're going to get when you watch it. You see some less meta drafts sometimes. You'll see more creative drafts or just different comps and ideas that the higher levels of play you don't see as much because they're a little more meta in the higher end, so you kind of get a little bit of the wild west of Chair League down in Division 3 where anything can happen. So we have about 10 minutes till our next game here. I am reaching out to the captains of both teams to hopefully make sure that we have a game. One of the teams is all checked in and ready to go. The other one is not, and sometimes that means nothing, but sometimes that means they're not showing up. So hopefully that is not the case. Powerpuff Boys looked good, no doubt. They looked very good that game. Silva, with the way her trait is structured, if you get value out of it, it's so big, but if you don't win those objectives, Silva gets no value, not no value, but significantly less value if you don't win the objectives. But if you do, she's just like a steamroll, man. It's an absolute avalanche. And the overlooked part of that game was the fact that Murky Disco couldn't even leave anybody in the bottom lane to soak during that first push. So the Sylv push was so powerful, they needed all hands on deck in the top lane, and they lost a ton of soak in the bottom lane. And that level difference was just really too much to overcome. So we have about 10 minutes to kill here. Next week, of course, a big week in Heroes of the Storm. We're going to have a big patch going live. In addition, we're going to have the season roll as well. It'll be a fresh season for ranked play. We will all get our elemental stags. And the warrior meta is going to have a significant shift with all of the changes in the patch notes. Many warriors getting physical armor or spell armor or just armor. And of course, Probius making its entrance into the Nexus. I don't play in the PTR much, but I've heard kind of mixed reactions to Probius. We'll see how she goes. It's kind of hard to judge until these things are in the actual full live game. One of the things that I'm most excited about and that I've heard nothing but great things is the new and improved UI. Sounds fantastic. The screenshots look great. So I'm really excited to see that UI when it goes live next week. My predictions for the meta post-Probius patch. That's a good question. I don't know. I actually think the meta is in a pretty good spot right now. I do think they need to move some knobs around with Lucio a little bit. From what I've read on Anubarak, who's in a really great spot right now, and they look like they're giving him some pretty good new talents. I'm really interested to see where Anubarak ends up, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was just really powerful after the patch next week. I do not like the changes to Tyrael. I think they're going to end up having to tune him a little bit. The loss of Hardened Shield and what was his 13 talent that they took away, the movement speed, Imposing Will, I think are a pretty big deal for Tyrael. So I think we're definitely going to see a shift in the tank meta. We're going to see more targeted picks, and I think we're not going to see even less Tyrael than we do right now. Okay, so the self-references have reached out to me, so it looks like we may have both teams here. Well, unfortunately, we do have a forfeit, so there will be no second game, which is a big, big bummer. Well, so we did get one 8-minute and 38-second game in here. I think we spent more time in draft and in lobby and in kind of vamping about the patch than we actually did in a game there. That first game just got rolled so quickly. So I guess that'll be it for Chairly Casting for the night, since our second game is going to be a forfeit. Thank you for everyone for tuning into our incredibly brief stream this evening. We'll definitely be back more with the last week of Chair League Season 4 next week, and then picking up into playoffs the following week. I will definitely be casting some playoff games. Excited about that and all the big changes we have next week. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. If you see me around the Nexus, by all means, hit me up. I love meeting new people. It's a fantastic community, and hope everybody has a great night.